A Turf and Touchdowns first on this week's podcast. We are focusing on UK action, which we've never done before, but we're still bringing in a US contingent into things because we are focusing on the US runners at Royal Ascot. Last week, we gave the challenge, get 75 likes on the video. We smashed that and go over 800 subscribers. We smashed that as well. So you guys earned it. We're going to talk today, Tom, about Royal Ascot and the US runners.
Yeah, we are. I'm looking forward to this, Luke. We should have done it last year, shouldn't we, really? But yeah, look, they've got some interesting runners coming over to the UK. I think quite a few people, maybe not the Americans that could be watching this, but especially the Brits that are focusing on who to bet at Royal Ascot this year, they may not know about the US runners. So this could hopefully be informative. There's not going to be a tip or anything, I don't think, in this podcast, but there's going to be a lot of information that you can use towards your betting next week.
Yeah, I did actually suggest last year that we do a podcast like this, and Tom said, no, I don't like the viewers that much. I don't respect them that much. I think we should just sack them off.
I absolutely did not say that. I did say something, but it wasn't anything to do with the viewers, I tell you.
Yeah, it was, I don't know. I mean, who are you going to believe? Who are you going to believe? Me or the guy who actually said it? It's whatever. But can't wait to talk about lots of Wesley Ward runners this year, Tom. At Royal Ascot, he loves runners at Royal Ascot. He's had a runner at every Royal Ascot since 2012, so he's got a few here, right?
No, a big fat NO here. Look, his 2-year-olds haven't been great this year. He's had a couple of winners down at Keeneland, and Outfielder was supposed to be this up-and-coming type that would have a great chance, and he was going to come across from a racing. We'll touch on him in a second before we look back at the Belmont last week, but there is no Wesley Ward, which is kind of the headline for this video, really, because everyone would anticipate we'll be talking about a lot of Ward runners.
Yeah, and we were hoping to be, but alas, we're not. No runners for Wesley Ward at Royal Ascot this year. Just before we get into that, we are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. And honestly, we're not that far away now. 167 is what we need. We're on 883. That is, look at Tom. He's so proud whenever I get the maths right. He's always like, good job.
You got the maths right, which was great, but then you said we were on 883 and we're absolutely not. So you kind of ruined it.
We're on 833. Yeah. Maybe by the end of this video, obviously, we'll be on 833. Yeah, that was terrible. The maths was spot on. Spot on. It's just the rest that let it down. 833 is what we're currently on at the moment. If we get to 850 by the end of Royal Ascot, end of Royal Ascot. We'll give you more time. That'll be absolutely fantastic. Thank you to everyone for subscribing and liking last week. If you're new here, welcome back. If you're old here, welcome back again. You're part of the furniture now. But if you leave a like, comment on your favourite Royal Ascot horses, your top picks for the week, that will be a massive help. And we'd love to hear from you guys. But, Tom, as you say, what do you want to do? Belmont first, or do you want to do Wesley Ward first?
Let's talk about the Belmont really quickly, just because it's a horse that we both love.
Yep, Sovereignty managed to score in the Belmont. He managed to win 2 of the 3 Triple Crown races. No Triple Crown winner this year, Tom, except for Turf and Touchdowns.
Yeah, we won it. Joint plays, both of us, throughout the whole of the Triple Crown. I think that's kind of the best thing we've done so far on Turf and Touchdowns. Go through all the 3 big featured 3-year-old races this campaign. It doesn't come very easy to do that, especially the Derby when we don't know too much about these horses. But yeah, I'm quite proud that we've both put up the winner of every race. And yeah, we've seemed to be singing off the same hymn sheet a lot this year. And actually it's working. Last year it didn't.
No, last year we tipped up every winner of the whole year. Just don't go back and check. Just leave it. Don't look. We just crushed it. Just trust us. We would never lie to you. But Sovereignty was fantastic. He's now 4-1 favourite, anti-post for the Breeders' Cup Classic. And look, he deserves to be that sort of price. He's beat Journalism again. He beat Baeza again. He's got to take on the older horses, but he's been very, very good so far as a 3-year-old, which moves us on to Wesley Ward, Tom. As I say, no runners. I was devastated when Outfielder got ruled out, but he breezed 4 furlongs in 57 seconds, and that is something that I think you might be able to do.
Yeah, that is slow. Obviously, he was feeling an injury, a shin problem. That's what's been told to the media. That happened on Tuesday, June the 10th, so I don't know when you guys are probably watching this. It might be next week when Royal Ascot is happening, or it could be just as we post this video. But it was a few days ago. He was the anti-post favourite for the Norfolk. Joint favourite in some places because we didn't know where Aidan O'Brien's 2-year-old Charles Darwin was going to run. But he had a great chance, Luke. I wasn't going to tip him in this video because we already outlined that we were going to do this video this week. I wasn't going to put him up as my play in the race, and I was kind of going to be a little bit tentative on him. I know you had the opposite opinion.
Yeah, I thought he'd have taken a little beating. I thought he was the old school Wesley Ward horse that comes over, looks like a 4-year-old, is absolutely huge, and he could have been the sort of resurgence for Wesley Ward. But Wesley Ward has also ruled out all other runners. I don't know if I think he's not happy with the way they worked. He did say he was going to bring them to France for basically a day and then bring them to Ascot, but none of them are coming over now. And look, for everyone, I think, Tom, it's a shame. As much as we like jabbing at the Americans and we like telling them they're not quite as good, it's always better when they're here. It's always better when Wesley Ward's here as well. It just gives an extra layer and an extra incentive into races.
Yeah, I completely echo that. I agree very much with the opinion. I love Wesley Ward just bringing his horses across. International aspect and interest is the whole point of Royal Ascot. That's what makes it great. We have fantastic race meetings across the world, really, when it comes to flat racing. We've got the Melbourne Cup meeting. We have over in Saudi for the Saudi Cup. We've got Dubai World Cup meeting, the Arc de Triomphe meeting, Breeders' Cup. There are loads, but Royal Ascot has the most international contenders when you talk about from all points of the globe. And when Wesley Ward's not here, it doesn't feel right.
Mm-hmm. But on that note, Americans suck and we're better than you. Right, let's move on to horses that are actually running, because the first one is no longer actually American. Is now an
No.
Australian horse, technically. Carl Spackler. Honestly, so happy that he's come over because he's been one of the best milers in the US for the last couple of years. He looked so good on his reappearance. I know Tyler Gaffalione wasn't able to ride because he had a broken ankle. Flavion Pratt got off afterwards, Tom, and said that he couldn't believe how good the turn of foot was from Carl Spackler. But this is going to be very different. He's running a straight mile for the first time.
Exactly, and that's the big question mark with him. I feel like most people, when they just see a horse that's been running in the US, they just pigeonhole them as out and out speedballs. And there are a lot of them, don't get me wrong, especially in the 2-year-old races. But he's not like that. He's by Lope de Vega, a European stallion. He's got lovely turf European pedigree on the dam side as well. The actual dam of Carl Spackler won 6 times for Chad Brown on turf, stretching up to a mile. So his pedigree suggests he should be well at home with Ascot. The straight course is a slight issue because he's never run on it before. He should stay. There's no problem there. It'd be more how he conserves his energy in the first part of the race because he does have tactical speed. He's not an out and out front runner, but he does want to sit prominently. This horse is the most talented of the US runners. I don't think there's any disagreement that could be made here. It's whether he is capable of performing with our Group 1 horses. You know, in the 2-year-old races that we're about to discuss later in this video, they're facing off against other inexperienced types that we don't know much about, all of whom could be overhyped, they could be underhyped. In this race, there are a lot of horses that are hyped because they are good. The likes of Rosalian, the likes of Notable Speech, Lead Artist, Dancing Gemini. He's going to have to be pretty strong to match up with the Lockinge form. But I love this horse. I'm sure you do as well. 8 from 12 in his career, numerous Grade 1 winner, and I'm looking forward to seeing him.
Yeah, we've sort of followed him since his pretty much debut effort because he was second at Gulfstream Park behind another really good horse in Far Bridge. They've both got on to become true graded performers. Now, obviously, Carl Spackler, even if you're not a big American racing fan, you might know the name because he ran 6th in the Breeders' Cup Mile last year. He ran a really good race that day. It was a race that went the way of closers rather than horses close to the pace. More Than Looks came from last to first. Notable Speech was in there as well, who was back in third. The problem is with Carl Spackler is whether you think he's going to win or not, Tom, the price that he is currently is outrageous. He's 20 to 1. It's a wrong price, and you kind of want to back him for the value because he should be, honestly, the same sort of price as Notable Speech, around 6 to 1-ish, that sort of area.
Yeah, I'd say maybe a little bit bigger, maybe 8 to 1, but I completely agree with the value there. And I will have a couple of quid on him just because he has the talent to go close. It's just there are big question marks, which is why you wouldn't want a super short price. But even on that Breeders' Cup form that you just mentioned, Notable Speech was ahead of him in third, but there wasn't much between them. I know that was in Carl Spackler's playground, if you will, over in the US. But I don't think he was going to win the race, but he's got a lot of talent and he's going to be overlooked.
Yeah, absolutely. So it will be in the opening race of the meeting as well in the Queen Anne. So interesting start. He'll go down to Australia just after that and continue his career. We've also got Shisospicy, who's coming over for Jose D'Angelo, has been recently purchased for new connections. Shisospicy's done very well in the last 3 starts. That said, when she was winning the Mamselle, Tom, I did not think that should be a horse that comes over to Royal Ascot. But at the same time, fair play to Connections for having a go.
Yeah, exactly. I like the fact she's coming across. It should make the Commonwealth Cup very interesting if it wasn't already. And there isn't actually that much depth in the Commonwealth Cup, so she's earned her place in the field. However, she is a typical US sprinter, isn't she? She's out and out speed. We saw in the Mamselle, she's forwardly placed and then quickens up. We saw in the Limestone Lad, the race previous to that, that she does exactly the same thing. She wants to be forward and then she tries to hold on. She's very good and she's the best of her division in the US. But now she's coming over to England on a straight track. I don't think we'll see her go close. But I love the fact that Connections have tried this. I like that Qatar Racing have bought into this horse. And it'll be fascinating to see how she goes. One form boost for her from the other day, Kilwin, ran on dirt actually for Rusty Arnold and won. And Kilwin finished behind Shisospicy in the Mamselle and the Limestone Lad actually. So the form is stacking up, but this is a whole different ball game for her.
It is. It's going to be very, very different. And she's got Shadow of Light standing in her way, who was third in the 2000 Guineas. He's currently 6-4 favourite for the Commonwealth Cup. I'd be shocked if this was one that won at Royal Ascot, even placed, honestly. But we move on to a horse who's got a better chance. Lennilu, who has ran 2 races so far. Lennilu has looked brilliant on both of those starts. If you're, again, more of an outsider to American racing and don't pay too much attention to it, that's fine. That's what we're here for. But Lennilu managed to win the Royal Palm Juvenile Fillies at Gulfstream Park last time. That's a race that's a win and you're in for Royal Ascot. And we've seen it done almost a couple of times. Crimson Advocate won one of the Royal Palm races a couple of years ago, came to Royal Ascot and won. Gabaldon won one of them at Gulfstream last year, came to Royal Ascot and did everything but win, finishing back in second. I thought Lennilu looked terrific last time around, and we'll kind of do 2 in one here because Bibi Dahl was back in second. But look, Lennilu, Tom, you can't grab anything she's done so far.
No, she's been really good. Trained by Patrick Biancone, who doesn't have too many runners in Europe. Used to have quite a few here, but hasn't sent over many in recent years. 2 from 2. Can't crab that. Her first effort, she was working the house down prior to the debut, and then she romped. Came from slightly off the pace. And then last time in that race that you talked about, the Royal Palm Juvenile Fillies, she won it very decisively. The best horse in the race. I think the straight track actually might suit her, albeit I don't know how she's going to harness her speed because, again, she is an out-and-out speed ball. She is a typical US 2-year-old, but she's very precocious. And sometimes this time of year, the US fillies are way more precocious than the UK fillies, and that could be the difference. We don't actually know who's lining up in the Queen Mary as of yet at the time of recording, but I think she's a relatively short price, maybe second or third in the market, and she warrants that as well. I probably won't bet her, personally, but I think you've got to factor her in. She's got to be on the short list.
Yeah, she'll be a horse that I would use in play spots and something like that, where you're trying to get through legs effectively. Again, if you're American, play spots over here, you just have to get a horse to be placed in every single race, kind of like a pick 6 or whatever, but places rather than winners. I love how professional she looked last time. Turning for home at Gulfstream Park, she came a little wide off the bend, but it was almost deliberate, I feel. And then the lead leg changed just as they turned into the straight. It was absolutely perfect. I mean, if you watched it, you'd be thinking that this was a 5-year-old who'd been doing this for the entirety of her life. But to do that on your second start, that was brilliant. Straight track obviously is a concern, but look, we can say that about all of the US horses coming over. She's looked terrific so far. She beat Bibi Dahl in the Royal Palm. Bibi Dahl comes over. I think she runs in the Albany instead of the Queen Mary, so they go a little bit further. I have a feeling, Tom, that Ammo are bringing this horse over because their UK horses as 2-year-olds haven't quite done it for them yet.
Yep, I don't disagree with that. This horse shaped okay so far in the US, but hasn't done enough really to warrant her place in this contest on what day's the Albany? Friday? Maybe Thursday, not sure. But, you know, because it's Ammo, they want runners at Royal Ascot. That is Kia Joorabchian's whole MO, really. AMO, should have said that. That would have been good. But yeah, I don't think she's good enough to contest. Lennilu's a much better horse than Bibi Dahl. The one thing with Bibi Dahl is that her pedigree suggests she wants distance, but she's a very small type. She costs so much for her physical. If I just looked at her, and I'm not a bloodstock agent by any means, but if I just looked at her, I'm not thinking she cost 7 figures, but she did. So we'll see how she gets on. I won't be playing Bibi Dahl. I won't be playing Lennilu, but I do think Lennilu is by far the best of the two.
Yeah, without doubt. I think we were on actually together for the latest contest, and we were saying before the race, because Bibi Dahl cost a ton of money. It was like $800,000 plus, sort of in that ballpark. And we were both saying she looks very small. Like there's absolutely nothing of her whatsoever. But to be fair, she came out and she ran great. I mean, to run second on your first start behind a horse like Lennilu, fair play to you. Look, you might not be too big, but the ability is absolutely there. Just not a horse that I would have on my cards. One horse that I would have on my cards though is George Weaver's Tough Critic. Now, I'm not saying Tough Critic's going to go and win, but my goodness, that debut effort when running down Longshoreman, Tom, that was really good at Keeneland.
It was. It was really good. The form doesn't stack up, but you can only beat what's put in front of you. This is the same connections as another horse we'll talk about, or was the same connections. And again, we'll get more into that. But George Weaver sent over Crimson Advocate to win. Juice Sweepers LLC, who are the owners of Tough Critic, their whole modus operandi with their ownership group was that they want to buy horses and come across to Royal Ascot. So these types in the yellow with the green are kind of aimed here from an early point in their career, yearlings on some occasions. And I'm sure that Tough Critics always had Royal Ascot kind of in the schedule. Well, George Weaver has for the horse. Obviously, the horse doesn't have a schedule. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how he gets on in the Windsor Castle. Again, don't know what's in the race at this point, but he's a nice horse. I prefer the other Weaver one, though.
You prefer Sandals Song?
Yes.
That's interesting because I prefer I prefer Tough Critic. I think Tough Critic is a really good horse. You say you can only beat what's put in front of you. That's quite apt because everything was put in front of Tough Critic on debut and went past all of them. The turn that, or the move that Tough Critic made into a speed that did hold up on that first start was brilliant. Just watch the move from the end of the back straight. It literally sprints from that point and was very, very impressive. Beat Longshoreman, who at the time was meant to be one of Wesley Ward's better 2-year-olds, but we haven't seen Longshoreman since. Was sent off 4-9. And this isn't a typical, it's an American horse coming over for Royal Ascot. This is a horse who, like I say, has come from behind, has learnt plenty from debut, hasn't just blitzed the field and showed early speed, and that's that. So I'm interested to see Tough Critic. But, Tom, you've mentioned that you prefer, of the two, Sandals Song, who will be the last horse that we talk about from a US contingent. I'm just going to hand it over to you. One that the Royal Palm last time, he's looking to follow in the footsteps of a couple of others.
I think this might be saved the best till last. Not in terms of talent, because Carl Spackler is the best, obviously, but I think this might be the best betting prospect of the whole US contingent at Royal Ascot this year. I was really impressed with him last time at Gulfstream. I thought he did it really well. This has always been the plan, but to debut in that stakes race and win, it takes some doing. Even in the Fillies race, Bibi Dahl, who we've just talked about in kind of good terms, she was debuting in that race but still couldn't win. Whereas Sandals Song did and beat a really nice one called Squire of Patrick Biancone, who I'm sure actually would be running here. Still could be, not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure Royal Ascot was on the agenda for that horse prior to the Gulfstream race, and Sandals Song just went straight on by, and I liked that performance. Subsequently purchased by Wathnan. I mean, make of that what you will. I think the owners have made a mistake there, but obviously the fee was going to be huge. Wathnan have paid a lot of money over the recent days and in recent years, for these Royal Ascot horses. But the whole point of Juice Sweepers, the owners, was to get a horse to Royal Ascot. So I don't know why you'd sell him. But anyway, the fee must have been good. But he looks a nice type, and he's got a European way of running. I think he's going to be overlooked, albeit probably not as much now that he's owned by Wathnan. And I wouldn't be giving up on him. I know the Norfolk is looking like a pretty good race with Charles Darwin in there. He's one of the best 2-year-olds. So from a win perspective, it's probably tough. But from a place perspective, I think he's going to be second, third, fourth, that kind of area. And if he is, I think it's going to be a good price. So I'll play him each way.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't look, I'm not against Sandals Song heavily. It was a very good effort last time around. I just feel that maybe I preferred others that were coming over from America. Do you know is it going to be James Dorr that rides Sandals Song?
I would presume so. I don't know if Wathnan are going to have another horse in the race, but if they don't, I would presume it is Doyle, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a big positive. I mean, I don't know how you feel about this, Tom, but I love when an American horse comes over, but they use I wouldn't say English jockey, but a European-based jockey. I feel like that's a big advantage for them. That said, Amicia Jaramillo and John Velazquez, the last 2 Royal Ascots, have been very good.
Yeah, well, Johnny V, obviously Hall of Famer. He had a great Saratoga, by the way. He actually topped the standings at Saratoga for someone in his 50s. That's incredible. Amisael, obviously not in the same realm as Johnny V, but he did ride Gabaldon.
Don't be throwing shade at Amicia Jaramillo. He is wonderful.
on speed horses at Gulfstream. But he did ride Gabaldon well. So, yeah, I mean, some US jockeys can do it. I think the jockey that rode Sandals Song on debut, and this is a bit of a guess off the top of my head, was Luca Panici. Yeah. So, Doyler, Luca Panici. I think I prefer Doyler.
Yeah, with respect to Luca, you're not coming to Royal Ascot.
No.
Even if it wasn't bought by Wathnan, you weren't coming. But no, he didn't do anything wrong on Sandals Song, but we're expecting James Doyle to be on board. That is a run through of all US horses coming over for Royal Ascot. Just quickly, it's not a nap and next best, but two horses that you would expect to run well at Royal Ascot.
Well, Sandals Song, are we talking US horses? We are, aren't we?
Yes.
Okay, you just said nap and next best. That threw me off.
Tom, I don't know if you know what podcast we're doing.
To be fair, I've done 3 this morning already. Yes, from a US perspective, the only horse I will actually bet out of these is Sandals Song, as in a proper bet. I will have a few quid on Carl Spackler just because there's a bit of loyalty there and he's overpriced. But I do think Sandals Song is the best of these in terms of a betting perspective. So I'll say my nap is Sandals Song each way in the Norfolk, and my next best is a saver on Carl Spackler.
Yeah, I'll go similar, but I'll go for Tough Critic as the main one. I think Tough Critic could be a nice price as well. Obviously, we don't know what the market is at the moment. It's not exactly there, but I think Tough Critic, will be double figures plus. I think that will be a fair each way play. And then Carl Spackler again. Look, if you're watching this right now and you're looking at 20-1, have a 5 each way on Carl Spackler. I think he'll run well. It's just whether he'll win it, but regards to class, he is right up there with the best that the UK have got to offer. But that is a run through of the US horses running at Royal Ascot. No Wesley Ward for Royal Ascot of 2025. We hope he returns next year in 2026. But if you are new here, please do subscribe. It really helps us out. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. If we could hit 850 by the end of Royal Ascot, that will be fantastic. And if you're new here as well, we do offer NFL content. We'll be doing that in the next couple of weeks, building towards a new season, which is not actually too far away now, but this is a Turf and Touchdowns podcast. Tom, you can go and do whatever, I don't know, 700 other podcasts?
Actually, it's the last one today. I've got to go pick up the old top hat and tailors for Royal Ascot next week, so that's my next job.
I mean, the next job after that is to put it on and take a picture for the thumbnail.
Absolutely not. Okay, fine, I will.
It's what the people want. It's what I can hear them now going, do it, Tom. We want to see it.
Deal.
Right, let's wrap this up. Turf and Touchdowns podcast done for Royal Ascot. Have a fantastic week. Any comments down below? Leave your best Royal Ascot bets. We would love to hear from them. Leave a like, subscribe, and hit the ring notification as well. You get updated on anything that we do on the Turf and Touchdowns podcast. But until we next get to speak to you guys, stay safe. Look after one another. Goodbye.